Muses. Welcome to Miss Martin Muses, where we muse upon what makes me laugh, makes me cry, makes me happy, makes me sad, or just really ticks me off. Well, today we're going to talk about something that makes me very happy. It is J.R.R. Tolkien's The Silmarillion. J.R.R. Tolkien's The Silmarillion. Though some of it is going to make me mad just because Theonor is a douchebag, and we're going to talk about his douchery today. Yes, we have douches here on Miss Martin Muses, but not my guests. My guests are never douches. We have Princess Rennie.
Hey, Teresa, and thank you for that clarification.
Oh, yeah.
I really appreciate it.
I think on my feet.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Yeah. This is where the book starts to get like pretty, where all the action starts to really hit, and you really start to see the elves and how they, dwelled in Middle Earth. So this is really exciting, and you get to see some stuff with some known characters. So super excited to be here as always with you guys. So can't wait.
Yay. Yeah, I was gonna say this is where we start to get a plot.
Yeah.
There's a plot in there, and all the way from Norway, from the future. It is the one, the only, the Viking himself, Steve Kenobi.
Hello there.
Well, hello
Hi.
there. Can you give us a forecast from the future? What's going on?
Nothing much. I'm gonna move some furniture around later when I'm done.
Okay.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Hey.
Yeah. Actually, it is fun.
Yeah, your life's exciting with moving furniture. But the fact that you can move furniture means that we do have a future. The planet does have a future.
You know what? You know those softcore porn movies? And they film the guy from below, and it always looks like he's moving furniture, like he's struggling to pull the couch.
I was gonna say that's what we call a non sequitur, I think. Well, you heard it here first at Miss Martin Muses. You heard it here first.
Furniture moving.
I never thought of it that way before, but that's not typically what I watch.
Yeah. One could argue that shows like Outlander's softcore porn,
Yeah, it looks like they're grabbing the couch and like straining to pull the couch.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Look who we have here. Let's greet our guests. The best chat on earth. Sort of Pupus Kuber. Bear hug that like button, or the elves will sing all day and all night and drive Stieg crazy.
Oh, that's too cute.
We love our polar bear. Actually, we love all our animals here at Miss Martin Muses. And there is an elf in the house. It is Lady Toriel.
And she has a new profile picture.
Yeah, look at that.
Awesome.
Yeah, she's got the cool things, and if you don't follow her on Twitter, please do. Lady Toriel, put your link to Twitter if you want to in here. Zakrut315, thank you for being here. Always good to see you. Is that it? Okay, that is it. Everyone's saying hello, and hello.
There's Rennie further up.
Well, yeah, but she's also here on there. Okay, Rennie's in the chat. Yay!
No way.
No, Rennie's awesome. She's always in there saying hi. And here, we have a lot to go over. As we said, that this chapter, or these few chapters, but the flight of the Noldor. I keep wanting. It sounds like the title of a movie. The Flight of the Navigator. The Flight of the Noldor is an incredibly pivotal chapter. Holy crap! I forgot how much in one chapter everything happens. Major events. Crap hits the serious fan.
Yeah, it's pretty intense. And I remember when I first read this book a long time ago, I was like, oh my, it gets crazy.
Yeah. Oh, you know what I thought? When I first read it, I was in my teens though, but I was thinking, this is fucking boring. But I kept pushing through though.
Oh, wow.
Well, thank you, Steve.
Yeah. But I like it better now.
Yeah.
It was not boring this time.
Yeah. Well, we definitely have different perspectives as we're looking back, and we were looking at the big picture.
I actually think this book is absolutely written for an older audience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And The Hobbit is written for kids. The Lord of the Rings for the for the middle,
Mm-hmm.
I guess, and then Silmarillion for older people and up, right?
Yeah. Older people and professors.
Let me go get my walker. I'll be right back.
Which is why those mental children at Amazon hasn't read it.
Good point. Well, even if they have read it, they can't use it.
Yeah, they don't have the rights.
Yeah.
No. They shouldn't have any rights, to be honest.
Yeah. That's true. Money is the root of all evil. One little comment on there, because there is an event, the Cross of the Halcrux thing, Horcrux, whatever that's called, the big ice thing. I remember before it was revealed that they didn't have the rights, people thought, well, maybe that's what Galadriel's doing. And it's like, no, she's not doing it's all made up. Well,
you almost said shit.
I try to behave, at least in the beginning of these streams, but I guess I just suck. Okay, Snorter Poopus Kuber says, Feanor, riding through the lore. We know you're sore, but don't be a bore. Well, we have poetry here at Miss Martin Muses. Yes, we do. But this stuff is so much fun. So, and we get to see Galadriel, I should say that. She makes another appearance. But let's go ahead and let's get going with this. The Flight of the Noldor. The Flight of the Noldor. Not to be confused with the Flight of the Navigator. Sort of Poopus Pooper says, old people sitting around in their comfy chairs, smoking their pipes and thinking deep thoughts about the universe, the meaning of life, and the need for a good laxative. I think that is an incredibly accurate description.
Wow. Yeah.
Where's the
lie? Need for a laxative? No shit.
Seriously.
Really?
I was happy with that one.
Oh gosh, I'm glad you are. Actually, let me make sure. Fuck! I hate my life. My microphone.
Good grief, madam.
my virgin ears.
Oh my goodness! I just realized that my good microphone
in public.
I just realized that my microphone wasn't plugged in, so it
was plugged in.
Oh no, I mean that's what I was saying the F-bomb about. My good microphone wasn't plugged in, but okay, fine. Well, I'm glad that you're so offended. I'm sorry I offended your pure white as the driven snow ears.
You know I'm only teasing, Teresa.
Oh, I know. But mad of my ass. All right. BC, aka the new Dark Shadow. Hello. People saying hello. It's Jacob Ironside. Hello, Jacob Ironside. Good morning, y'all. Okay, thank you. Thank you for being here. And you just missed me realizing my microphone wasn't plugged in, and so I had to get mad at it. Let's move on to the Flight of the Noldor. This is from a summary, aka a synopsis. In Valinor, there were no longer any light from the trees after their poisoning by Melkor and Ungoliant. The only light in the sky was produced by the stars of Varda, much like how it was in Middle-earth. Yavanna went to the trees and found they had been shriveled and ruined beyond her ability to heal. But if she had even a little bit of the former light of the trees, she might have been able to bring the trees back to light. The only light of the trees now rested in the Silmarils of Theonor. Plot point. Dun, dun, dun. So, and remember Ungoliant and Melkor went and attacked the trees, and then Ungoliant sucked up all the life of it and then belched it all forth.
Yeah, she sucked its lights out.
Literally. It was pretty horrible. And I should have said meanwhile or last week on the Silmarils. So Continuing, the Valar asked Feanor to give Yavanna the Silmarils so she could break them open and use the light within. What could possibly go wrong? But Feanor, now fully desiring the Silmarils only for himself, refused to give them up. So we get a little bit of the precious going on here with Feanor. The lies of Melkor came back to his mind so that he now saw the Valar and their followers as enemies. Because Melkor has always been proven to be completely right and a reliable source.
Yeah.
But yeah, Steve, it really struck me as I was reading this that Tolkien has a precious thing going on, because the way that Feanor is acting toward the Silmarils really, to me, is reminiscent of the Ring.
Yeah, it's it's a theme, you know. Even in The Hobbit, it's said that you see it in the movie that if I think it's in the book too, if more people valued, you know, the comfort of home more than gold, it would be a better place, and that applies to this, doesn't it?
It does. If
I
only
feel
they.
like, sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
I feel like Feanor, his possessiveness was because this is something that he created. So it's like, this is mine, I made it, and you can't take it from me. Kind of like, I don't know, I guess like an artist and their art, you know, versus, you know, the Ring that actually has like, you know, Sauron's spirit kind of connected to it and stuff, but it's still like a very similar concept, but for different reasons.
Yeah. Well, and I think that the Valar and all them were a little snooty about the whole idea of Feanor making these jewels to begin with. And how it's like, now you want them, eh? Well, screw you.
Yeah, I didn't value them before, and all of a sudden now this happens and you need me.
Yeah.
And he was already poisoned by Melkor anyways, or Morgoth.
Mm-hmm. And feeling like they're holding me back. He's getting his Anakin thing going there. So,
well, to be fair, he did create it. You know, the Silmarils, and it's his life's work, really. You know, his masterpiece. So.
Yeah, and Aula says something like, you know, don't be hasty. We ask a greater thing than you know from him, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, it was a lot to ask of him, the greater good, at this point, because it's like, you know, we got to save the light of the trees. And he's like, screw your trees.
Yeah, and he had a run-in with him before.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
Well, he'd been like exiled.
So it's like, I'm going to help you. Why? You know?
Yeah, we've all been there. We've all been there. It's like, oh, now you want my help. Well, you didn't want my help before. You know, you knew what you were doing. You were special. Okay, but continuing. Soon, even worse news came. Just when you thought it was bad, it gets worse. Messengers arrived from Formenos saying that the fortress had been attacked by Melkor and the Silmarils and other treasures stolen. Oh my gosh, Magnum. Worst of all, Theonor's father, Finwë, had been slain by Melkor. So, you know, holy crap. The Silmarils have been stolen and his daddy is dead. Shit's hitting the fan. And not in a good ways. And I think this is the first major death we've had. Am I correct on that? We haven't had like one of these who die.
Of the Eldar? I think so.
Yeah. I mean, and, you know, what a dick. Melkor going and killing people. But, of course, stealing it. So he's dead. Enraged, Feanor gave Melkor the name he is known by forever after. Morgoth. So thank you very much. We have a new name, but the name sticks. So that's how he got the name Morgoth, which means like enemy of Dark enemy of the world. How
He
how
went all out
dramatic.
on that one. It's like you could go with twat, but yeah, you take it like way further, right?
Yeah.
That's how you say twat in Elvish or in Valar.
Morgoth. And for me, like Morgoth sounds more sinister.
The OneRing.net is the Morgoth of the Lord of the Rings fandom.
Ooh, nice tie-in.
Yeah, very, very well
They are
said.
also twats.
Well, yeah.
You heard it here first. You heard it here first. We have breaking news here on Miss Martin Muses. But they are the dark enemy of the world. Why go subtle when you can go hard? Yes.
Wow.
I didn't mean it like that.
Is that a Helm's Deep reference?
No. All right. Damn you. All right. Where am I going? Okay, Morgoth. Okay, we've got the dark enemy of the world. Theonor believed that he could have stopped Morgoth had he been at Formenos, and letting his emotions get the better of him, he fled from the Valar. They grieved for him and for the horrible fate of the trees. Yeah. He's not necessarily right, and he's not necessarily wrong. Maybe he could have, but I don't think he could have stopped Morgoth.
No, he was a deity. There's no way an elf can stop a deity.
Yeah, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
But I can understand the sentiment. It's like, if I hadn't been here, if you all hadn't made me come here, I could have been there and maybe saved his father. I don't know if I can understand his opinion.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So meanwhile, what happens next? Meanwhile, that's literally meanwhile, Morgoth and Ungoliant both fled to the northern wastes of Ahriman beyond the Pelori Mountains. At first, they fled the Valar, but as they crossed the I keep wanting to call it the Horcrux, the Helcaraxe, correct me if I'm wrong, folks, back into Middle-earth, it soon became clear that Morgoth was fleeing Ungoliant, who became much bigger and more powerful after devouring the light of the tree. So yeah, he's like, screw this crazy bitch. It's like, oh boy. She cornered Morgoth and demanded the payment he promised. Morgoth grudgingly gave her the jewels of Formenos, but this caused her only to grow even bigger. So, I mean, how could one spider creature thing have more messed up stuff? And Ungoliant then demanded that he give her the Silmarils as well, like the ultimate thing. But he refused to give them up. She attacked Morgoth, causing him to scream in agony, and the very hills of Lamont to echo with his cries for long afterwards. But his cries reached the ruins of Angband and awakened the Balrogs that hid there. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, we got Balrogs. We have Balrogs in the house. Using their flame whips, they drove Ungoliant off before she could take the Silmarils.
They arrived pretty damn fast, though.
Yeah.
They took the magic Ungoliant Express. I don't know. I caught that too. Unless maybe Morgoth was holding her off for a long time. I don't know. I don't think that. No, she had him all tied up, so he couldn't.
Yeah. So he couldn't really do anything. So his scream awakened him. Maybe because it was like in the older times and they were younger, they were, very fast and strong. I mean, compared to in Moria when they were like awoken, or when that one was awoken from its sleep and just kind of maybe groggy.
Yeah.
Only thing I could think of.
Or maybe this was not written down, but maybe Ungoliant started to monologue, because that's always when they get in trouble. They start to monologue.
Oh, that's right.
Let me tell you my evil plan. Let me
Well, to be fair, we don't know how long the scream was.
Oh, that's true.
It could have been
Yeah.
for weeks.
Yeah. Oh, Snarpoopit says Morgoth may have had them standing in the wings just in case. Maybe, but I think.
But it says they came from Angband, or it kind of alludes to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, either way, they got there ultra fast. They ate their Wheaties that morning and and they used their flame whips. They drove Ungoliant off before she could take the Silmarils. Okay. She fled south toward Dorioth, but the power of Melian forbade her entry. She settled in the valley beneath Ered Gogoroth, which became known afterwards as Nandungur.
Well, isn't that in Mordor, the plains of Gorgoroth?
I think so.
Yes, but since they give him 5,000 names, yeah, it's
Yeah. Yeah, but
yes.
that's probably what became a Mordor if Ungoliant went there, right? That's
Maybe.
in the vicinity of Shelob.
Yeah, help us out here. I'm looking at some cross references. Yeah, I think it was all kind of in the same territory.
Yeah.
But of course, it gets a new name because you can't have the same name for anything. And Nandaga blah blah blah, which translates to the valley of dreadful death. So we're getting a lot of proper nouns to these to help us out with this. Let me see here. So this is a cross reference. It was there that she had all her little spider children and her offspring. And let me see. Do they say? They do not. Help us out in the chat. But then she really wasn't heard from again, if I'm correct. Like that they don't entirely know.
Yeah, they kind of allude to the fact that she may have even, in her greed or her lust, like just devoured herself.
Yeah.
And this is part of the nature of the way he wrote it, because this is the legends that the elves knew or passed on, and that allegedly, I think it was Bilbo who was supposed to have written these down. So there will be incomplete knowledge. How convenient. Let's see. Snortapoopa says Sauron recycled a lot of names in Mordor, including Undun, the Sindarin form of Ultim. No. Okay. No. Okay. And supersonic Balrogs. Luffy's got his. Hello. Potato Revan, hi ladies, and Steegs, have a blessed day, and also remember bully Rennie. Rennie is so nice, though. I just don't know what's that all about. All right. So we have now the Valley of Dreadful Death.
I'm going to use that name for D&D, and if someone laughs, I'm going to say it's from Tolkien, and the joke will be on them.
What name? The Valley of Dreadful Death?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
the Valley of Dreadful Death could also be Hillary Clinton's vagina.
Oh.
Sorry, I just said it.
The views and expressions and sayings of Stieg on this Music channel do not necessarily reflect. Yeah, but no, I love it. We have the Valley of Dreadful Death, and then we have like the dark enemy of the world. I mean, I just love Tolkien, but maybe this is what's really horrible. It's making me think of Elf when they're like past the Candy Cane Valley and across.
Oh my gosh,
cotton candy. I forget what it was. Oh gosh. Ungoliath says Ungoliath finally moved to Fort Lauderdale and indulged herself with bonbons until her weight caused a collapse on herself. Well, it was well, she definitely was engaging in dark bonbons. Her bonbons was the light of the Silmarils. Potato Reverend got some bad news today. Glad to have something fun to listen to. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
Well, whatever it is, we're thinking of you and glad we can maybe distract you. We try to do that here at Miss Martin Muses. We try to do that. Sometimes we succeed and sometimes we don't. All right, let's continue. Morgoth went back to Angband and began rebuilding it. He set the Silmarils. This is the other one. I love this. I really loved this. He set the Silmarils into an iron crown, which he wore all the times, even though their touch burned him. That was the other thing that it's kind of like the devil in holy water. It's like it burns. That every time he touched him, it burned, and his hands turned black because he couldn't touch them, but he did it anyways, and he kept wearing them even though it was bad for him. And this is from this is from Tolkien's, from the actual chapter. This is Tolkien's word. And he called himself King of the World.
Titanic stole that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Dun, dun, dun. Jack, I'll never let go. And she lets go. So now we have the Valley of Dreadful Death. We have the enemy of the world, and then we have the king of the world. What the hell is wrong with these people? Oh, wait, dark enemy of the world. Sorry. So, but what a miserable existence. And I think that this is something to the effect of the theme that Tolkien is saying, that whenever you get the precious, no matter what it is, it actually slowly destroys you, and it's nothing but a burden.
Yeah, it's just sad that he was so obsessed with and desired them so much that he was willing to take all the pain that came with them because of Varda's hallowing the stones, that no one evil should be able to behold them. And I don't think I would ever put myself through that kind of torture if something was that painful for me. So, he must have really wanted those jewels.
Yeah. Well, never underestimate the power of envy and lust.
Yeah.
Sounds like Johnny Depp's marriage.
Gosh. Well, yeah, that too. The precious. Well, when you look at Amber Heard, she's very beautiful. Just saying. Okay, Morgoth. Sorry, this is not Morgoth saying this, obviously. Snorta Poops Cooper. Morgoth. I have such a headache. Sauron. We'll take the damn crown off, you moron. Yeah, something like that. Okay. We got some more from Potato Revan. Dad's cancer treatment isn't going to plan. I don't talk to him, but still, hey. Oh, okay. Well, I'm, again, very sorry to hear that. Well, and we're all here to support people here at Miss Martin Muses, and thanks for letting us know. Okay, Jacob Ironstein says, no wonder Morgoth was so angry. Yeah, I mean, damn it. He burned his hands off. He's got this crown. And I just imagine him going, I'm king of the world, man. He's sitting there with this stupid crown.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. So, meanwhile, after that, he raised 3 peaks of Thangorod Dream above his fortress and sent forth black clouds, smoke from his forges, and new armies. Very Sauronish and all that. Mordor. Son of a bitch, these names are too similar. Okay. He rarely left Angband afterwards, preferring instead to let his servants do his bidding for him. He and his sons... Oh, wait. Meanwhile, see, this is where some hits a fan. Back in Valinor, the Valar and Maiar and El sat in the darkness. Okay. Sorry, I shouldn't laugh. They're all just sitting there. Our lives suck.
Yeah, the guy stole the light bulbs.
Yeah.
Let's just sit here and be sad. Suddenly, Theonor reappeared in Tirion, calling upon all who would listen to come to him. He spoke of the supposed enslavement of the Noldor by the Valar, who he said brought the Elves to Valinor so they could use the race of men to rule Middle-earth in their stead, for men would be easier to control than the Elves. That total envy and lie of Morgoth that he had been saying. Also, the jealousy that they had towards men.
Yeah. And pride.
And
Lots
pride,
of
yeah.
pride. Yeah.
And so he's inflaming them, and he called for the Noldor to return to Middle Earth and leave Valinor so they could set up their own realms in Middle Earth. So, like, screw you, man, we're going to go and we're going to have our own. And then this is like the first really big event that happens. He and his son then swore the oath of Theonor, saying that not one, not elf, man, or even Vala shall steal or keep the Silmarils for him. They named Manwë, Varda, and even Eero as witnesses, swearing the void upon them if they failed. So they basically made an unbreakable vow.
Yeah.
And also avowed revenge against the
Valar.
and against everyone. Let's see. What does it say here? He swore an oath that none shall break. They named, and this is from the text. I mean, dang, in the text it went on even longer. Son of a bitch.
Mhm.
It said, vowing to pursue with vengeance and hatred to the end of the world. Vala, demon, elf, or man as yet unborn, or any creature great or small, good or evil, and a partridge in a pear tree. And it cannot be broken no matter what. That's what we were saying. And meanwhile, listening to this and being very moved by all of this was none other than Our Lady Galadriel. So I want to talk a little bit about Galadriel, the fact that she's present here, but that she also does not quite partake. I don't know, Stieg, when you were reading this, first of all, yay Galadriel, but also that she was moved by this talk, and this was the temptation.
Yeah, it's a kind of temptation, but she doesn't fall for it. Basically,
Yes or no?
She's showing restraint.
Yeah, but I still think that she was intrigued and interested, and that's why she kind of followed him.
Yeah, but she didn't swear the oath.
No.
Yeah, that she didn't take that step. And I think that that's ultimately what saves her, keeps her from being fallen, because she was eventually pardoned way, 5 million thousand years later in The Lord of the Rings.
True.
Yeah. So Stieg, what you're saying is the fact that she wasn't tricked into taking the oath, that she did not take the oath, that she knew that the oath would be going too far.
Yeah.
If I'm correct. If I'm hearing you correct. Just a second. I got to mute myself. Rennie, but what about the fact that she was hearing what they were saying, why she was intrigued, why she was tempted by it?
Yeah, I think even though Feanor didn't really care for his younger brothers, their kin still, it spoke to them, because some of the Noldor and some of the Teleri have seen Middle Earth, and so they're like, well, what if we can claim this as our not kingdom or domain or whatever, but what if we can claim this as our land, or instead of it belonging to the race of men or to the next set of Eru's children. So I think that was intriguing to her, and also I think she also craved change and adventure.
Yeah. Well, it says here that that the talk of Middle Earth, it kindled in her heart, and then she yearned to see the wide unguarded land and to rule a realm at her own will.
Yeah.
So on the one hand, she was intrigued and wanted to see the beauty of it, but she also wanted a kingdom of her own, which was her own form of pride, maybe.
Yeah. Which she wound up kind of having, so she got her wish, so to speak.
Yeah, that made her sad. Yeah. And Tolkien was very, very clear to point out that she and Finarfin, while they
are going to be going along with them, that they're not speaking against their kindred. And that's also going to be an important part.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, it says here, Potato Reverend, do you think Tolkien added in these Dark Kings after the War of the Empires, aka World War One?
No,
Mm.
because it's not allegory; it's applicability.
Yeah.
So the war stuff, well, you can apply it. It was not allegory, actually.
Yeah. Well, and also he hadn't written this before World War One. I mean, he started writing it after World War One as well. And I think that it's maybe more universal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But certainly, speaking of the applicability, you write what you know. And of course, he saw a lot of that. And I think a lot of the images of the belching smoke and all that was about it, and the disgustingness of industrialization, but also maybe perhaps what he saw.
Yeah.
Okay. Smart Poopa says more means black, so it's going to show up in a lot of names. More Goth, more Door, more Win, more Miguel, more Olvatine, please.
Oh.
Well, you know what? That means you're racist.
You know, I don't know how I ever liked Ovaltine as a kid. I do not like it as an adult. I
don't
can't
even
do
know
it.
what it is. I don't have it.
It's like a chocolate milk mix, but it's got a weird flavor to it.
Yeah, also malty flavor, and you can heat it up too and make it like kind of like hot chocolate. Yeah, Jacob says maybe I know the dead marshes represent the trenches. Well, maybe I'm. Well, definitely applicable, and we as readers, we will for sure see certain things in it because this is the world that we know as well.
Yeah.
Hello, Matt G. Good to see you here. He's giving us a lot of bacon. So all the cholesterol that's going to show up in your next blood work, it's all his fault. And, yeah. But this is huge. This oath is huge. And Galadriel, they also point out that she's the only woman that is standing up among them at this point, and she is going to take some leadership in this. So we're going to continue here. This is back to the summary. Prevailing over those who opposed him, Theonor drove his people northward, not letting them stop to fully consider their actions. Only 1/10 of the Noldor stayed and did not leave with Theonor. So dang, that's most of them. The rest went with him toward an uncertain future. Yet even as the exiles left Tirion, a messenger from Manwë appeared, saying that the exiles would get no help from the Valar, and the quest was hopeless. Theonor scoffed and sent the messenger away. The exiles left Tirion forever, some less willing than others. Yeah, so he made this thing go fast. Also, there was a portion of the message that was not in this summary that I think speaks to free will. When Manwë said, we're not going to help you, but we're also not going to stop you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yes, George Lucas, thank you for being here. I'm always an honor to see you on my channel. That's kind of like what Yoda, Steve. I was thinking the way Yoda and Obi-Wan kind of were with Luke Skywalker. It's like, I can't help you. You will face him alone.
You know, I liked Feanor's response to the messenger. I thought it was pretty funny too. He was just like, I don't care.
Like, I like that as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
yeah.
Whoa.
Well, but I think it says something about the Valar that they didn't stop them.
And they wanted them to have like their free choice because, you know, Feanor basically accused them of, you know, imprisoning the elves in Arda. Or not in Arda, in Valinor. So he's like, well, I think that's why it's like, well, we're not going to stop you, you know, we don't want to hold you prisoner here. I don't know. That's just my personal opinion of it. But, you know, that gauntlet's already been thrown. So I guess they didn't want to maybe poke the bear, so to speak.
Yeah. No. Well, I also see it as honoring them, honoring their free will.
Yeah.
Because once you take away someone's free will, it's just another form of slavery, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much.
Sometimes I wish I could because so many people are so stupid, but I guess that's also a form of pride.
Oh, those stupid people give up their freedom anyway.
Oh.
Willingly. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'll be damned. Okay. Well, before we go on to the next part, Luffy has got us saying the Dead Marshes was from World War One, but most of the Lord of the Rings is World War II. There is a documentary with Tom Shippey where he confirms that.
It's probably Tolkien seeing dead soldiers in the trenches, in the rain,
Yeah.
or in the puddles, and
Okay. Well, there you go. I stand corrected. All right. Oh, we got a dog in the house. So we have a polar bear and a dog. Hound 3000 needs some hugs. He tells us woof woof arf arf bark. Well, okay. I'm assuming that means hello. Mr. Brown's Alliance is here. Thank you for being here. And everyone is waving hi. We're talking about these people who suck. They are rebelling. I mean, look at all the crap they cause.
Yeah.
And this is leading up to, well, the kinslaying. That's what's going to be next.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really, really terrible. Continuing with the summary, the exiles went northwards until they reached the Great Sea of Belarg. Theonor realized that he had no boats to reach Middle Earth. However, the Teleri elves, master shipbuilders, did have boats. He went to them and tried to persuade them to give them the boats. The Teleri, however, did not give him any help or boats and tried to persuade him and the rest of the exile to abandon the quest before it was too late. Oh, we've all been there. It's like, you can still turn back. It's not too late.
Yeah.
Theonor left the city in rage and brooded. I'm having Anakin vibes here.
Yeah.
You can come with me. We can go away. Let's raise our baby on Naboo. It's like, no. If you see Revenge of the Sith. But he's brooding until he decided to take the boats by force. Dun, dun, dun. The Noldor stormed the docks and began taking the ships. The Teleri resisted, at first trying to avoid violence, but before long they started pushing the Noldor into the water. The situation escalated as the Noldor retaliated and used their weapons and armor to force the Teleri to retreat. Elven blood was shed by elves in what would later be known as the first kinslaying. I mean, how horrible can you imagine these two elves, this battle where they're pushing them into the water and they're drowning, they fight. And it was, in a way, I think that this kinslaying was seen almost as an original sin, or not original sin. That's probably the wrong word. Almost like the Cain and Abel, when the first brothers killed themselves in the myth of in the Book of Genesis. That they'd fought before, but they'd never killed each other before.
Cain disabled Abel.
That is true. Well, where's the lie? It's also significant at this point, going back to our character Galadriel. She did not take part in this. She was not part of the kinslaying. And that's another thing that allows her to be forgiven, because this really was seen as bad. But she was, gosh, this is just horrid.
Yeah, it's awful. It's like, we want your boats. They're like, no, well, we're taking them. So good luck stopping us. And then it just gets ugly.
Yeah. To say the least.
Yeah.
And then it gets worse. The Noldor managed to get the boats moving. that as they began to leave, a figure appeared. Some say it was Mandos himself. There he gave the doom of Mandos, a prophecy that the Noldor shall not succeed in their futile quest. The penalty for slaying the Teleri was great. The Noldor would shed unnumbered tears, and all of their works would be destroyed. The House of Theonor would lose the high kinship of the Noldor, and even if they tried to seek the aid of the Valar, the realm of Valar would be fenced against them, and no help would come. Again, that the pronouncement of doom upon them for what they have done. Theonor, being ever the douchebag, scoffed at this. It's like I care, and rejected the message. But Finarfin relented and went back to Valinor, taking some people with him. The exiles now set about the task of going to Middle Earth. There were not enough boats to take them all over. So Theonor took his sons and those who are most loyal and stole the boat so they could get over first. Upon arriving in Middle Earth, Theonor ordered the ships burned so that no one could follow him. It's like, thanks, with friends like these.
Yeah.
I don't know, Steve, when I read this the first time and being reminded of this, I'm like, what kind of treachery do you do that to your own troops? Like, these were the people he inspired to bring with him. And now look at him.
Yeah, entitlement.
Yeah, little fucker.
Yeah.
And then order the ships burned. So not only did they fight all the Teleri and all, and then they burned the friggin' ships. Fingolfin saw the great burning of the ships, meanwhile, and thus knew that Feanor has betrayed him. Yet at the same time, he did not go back to Valinor. Instead, he led his people in a perilous journey across the Helcaraxe. And that's a big moment, too. Again, 3 big events. This crossing of the Helcaraxe is considered... I don't know how to describe it, what would be an analogy, and maybe an analogy isn't appropriate. But many perished in the crossing, but eventually made it over. The last of the exiles arrived in Middle Earth. So Galadriel was a part of that crowd that crossed that. So we're talking about a death march almost.
Yeah. It's like, going through, I don't know, like a really bad winter in Siberia and it just doesn't end.
Yeah. And so many died.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's pitch black.
Oh, that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it says here, I'm at Tolkien's text here. Few of the deeds of the Noldor thereafter surpassed the desperate crossing in Hardywood or Woe. Damn. Yep. So the survivors of that, including Galadriel. Gosh, I just have this imagery. I'm sorry, my brain just blew up, especially what you just said, Steve, reminding me that this all happened in blackness. Just how horrible that would be. I don't know. This might make a good TV show if someone actually wrote it.
Yeah, the screen would be black, wouldn't it?
Oh. Oh gosh, it'd be like the 3rd episode of season 8.
That's exactly where my head went.
Okay, you can find ways, Steve. You can find ways. Like, they could say, hey, but I have a candle.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it says, but little did they know of the terrors that await. And Tolkien, his last line is, they finally reached Middle Earth at the first rising of the moon. Because a lot of these things are going to be happening simultaneously. And they blew their trumpets. Because I guess that's what you do.
Yeah, that's what you do in the dark when nobody can see.
Well, but the rising of the moon
away enemies, potential
or,
enemies.
Or maybe it made some of them feel happy. I don't know. Oh, sorry. There's more woofs. Okay. Hound 3000 says Feanor is an a-hole that forced his kids to follow his orders. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he won them over, but it was like once they started, it was like, you can't change your mind. We're going to go. We're going to move. Then let's have a big fight. Let's kinslay. And then, I'm just going to burn down the ships after all that.
And they had to be thinking, what did I get myself into by going with this guy?
Yeah.
Well, given that they burned the ships, they clearly had fire. So I guess they could use torches when they walked.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay, there you go. See, more than a candle. More than a candle. But, well, we won't get a chance to see it anyways because the douchebags don't even have the rights to the story. So what does
Imagine, though, you're walking in pitch darkness and you only have one candle and it's a Paltrow candle.
Oh,
Oh.
I'll just stay in the dark.
Oh my gosh, that's disgusting.
Blech.
Exactly. And Florida Poopa says Theonor and most of his sons were experts in douchery. Yes, they were. But I cannot completely give the other dudes, including Galadriel, completely a pass because they could have turned back after they got screwed over and
Yeah.
abandoned. But they were like, no, we still want to do this. So whatever was in their hearts that was envious, or it was a different kind of an envy because, as I said, Galadriel wanted to see Middle Earth and have a kingdom of her own there, that they were willing to face, as Tolkien calls it, the terror of the Hell Caraxes and the cruel hills. So he wasn't there pulling a gun to their head. Well, he wouldn't have because
They don't have guns.
Yeah, they don't have guns. But you know what I mean, figuratively. Lofi's God said, sounds like Tolkien borrowed a little Napoleon history here.
Mm.
Well, yeah, I mean, apropos, surely. It's a tale as old as time, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm taking a cup of coffee. This and now we are at the end of this chapter. This chapter was something else. And so I almost feel like more happened in this chapter than has happened in the past 100 pages.
Yeah. Yeah, the past 100 pages are, a lot of history and, world building, but this is when you start actually getting into, how did the elves come to Middle Earth, and, where all did they derive from? And I really enjoyed seeing this. And, it also proves because, they imply something about the elves being the favorite of Iluvatar. But you see that, yeah, they're not perfect. They're flawed. In Lord of the Rings, you feel like they're really perfect and they do everything, properly and all that stuff. Well, no. There are bad eggs in every group of beings, and elves are not excluded from that.
Yeah. And we're also seeing the after effects of the elves. The elves that we're seeing in the Lord of the Rings were the ones who reaped the bitter fruits of this and were living in regret in many ways and in exile, which is why at the end, when they were finally allowed to go back home, it was 3,000 years in the coming, wasn't it? Or 4,000 or 5,000 years? I don't know how long they were in exile. And it reminds me of a concept that Thomas Aquinas used to write about. He would say that sometimes the best punishment you will get from God, if you will, is he'll give you what you want. Like, he won't come down and smite you, but he'll just let you have what you want. The elves got exactly what they wanted. And usually what you want is not what is best for you.
Yeah. You realize you don't really want or need it.
Exactly. And what you lose. How many times has someone said, well, I'm allowed to do this? It's like, you're allowed, but you sure you want to do that? And they do anyways.
Yeah.
Yes, because for the most part, unless someone's actually about ready to axe murder someone, it's like, let them go. Let them reap the fruits of their own decisions. Oh, we have Timon Flip. Hello. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Everyone's saying hello. Let's see. Hound 3000 says, I wonder if the elves were in the darkness again. Do they sing Back in Black? Oh, fuck. Well, they would sing, wouldn't they? Because they like to sing.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. Before we move on, anything else you want to say, Stieg, about this chapter?
No, not really.
Yeah, I think we kind of covered it. It was Long but good. And the rest of them are not going to be as intense. It's going to be of the Sindar. Now, the events that they're talking about, we're getting some origins, but we're also going to get some events that were happening simultaneously. Not of Sindar, of the Sindar. Yay! So I'm going to go to the summary. I'm going to go to the summary again because it goes on for 200 years, but this is not as long. During the chaining of Melkor, meanwhile, back on somewhere else, elves that those Teleri elves that set out on a great journey but did not go to Valinor settled down in Beleriand. These elves were called the Sindar, and they were able to live in peace with the absence of Morgoth. Under the lordship of Thingol and Melian, the elves of Beleriand grew in wisdom and skill. They soon made contact with the dwarves, or Nogrim, as the elves called them, of Nogrod and Belagos. The dwarves soon learned the Sindarian language and began trading with the Sindar, though they were not friends so much as allies and trading partners. Yay. Melian, who, by the way, she shows up in songs, doesn't she? She's in some of those songs in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Or Melian, probably is more correct. Warned that
it's the one they sing about when the Nazgul are 20 feet away.
Oh, that's right. Oh, no. Melian warned Thingol that the peace will not last forever. Well, why would it? And he asked the dwarves to make him a secure dwelling place. The dwarves gladly did this in return for the knowledge of Melian and pearls Thingol obtained from Círdan. The dwarves soon constructed a vast mansion of caves, which was named Menegroth, the Thousand Caves. Menegroth soon became one of the most beautiful palaces ever created outside of Aman, with both the elves and dwarves contributing to the work in a display of cooperation seldom seen in the days ahead. See, look, they were friends. For a time, peace still reigned in Beleriand. However, because there has to be a however, dark rumors began to spread soon. The dwarves informed Thingol that not all of Morgoth's servants were destroyed by the Valar. The Avari in the east were being driven away by evil creatures coming down from the north, where Morgoth once reigned. These evil creatures began to appear in Beleriand, including wolves and foul orcs. Thingol commissioned the dwarves to begin making weapons and armor, stored them in his armories. So we have the wolves and the orcs. Those are things that are familiar with us. And I think that Tolkien is connecting when things go belly up, when crap hits the fan, people start to make weapons. And while they probably need to make weapons, it's like self-defeating. Because once you start to make weapons, then you have to fight.
Yeah.
On the other hand, how do you defend yourself if you don't have a weapon? That's a question. Meanwhile, there was another elf named Denethor. Not our Denethor.
Yeah.
It was an elf named Denethor who led his people into Beleriand. These would later be known as the Green Elves. Thingol welcomed them and they dwelt in Osirion. Yay! Unfortunately, the peace was not to last. One long defeat, right? History's one long defeat. For Morgoth escaped Valinor and returned to Middle-earth. Again, this is all like meanwhile. This is happening. Morgoth rebuilt Angband and unleashed his army upon Beleriand, attacking Doriath. Thingol called upon Denethor for assistance, and they attacked the orcs. The army of the orcs were routed, but not before they killed Denethor and scattered the Green Elves. Many Green Elves went to live in Thingol's domain. Now, as far as the Green Elves, I want to pause here where the hell are they? Well, of course, when I think of the green elves, I think of like Earth Day or something.
Legolas
But
Greenleaf.
Legolas Green, yeah. Well, again, those were his people, right? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wood elves.
Yeah. So there we go. Well, not just Legolas, but of course our own lady Toriel, though movie verse she is. Yes. So these are our old friends. We know these folks. So after all this happened, Million used her power to create the girdle of Million, because you've got to create something awesome. A protective veil around Doriath that kept out not only Morgoth's forces, but anyone who tried to enter against the will of Melian or Thingol.
It's literally a safe space.
Yeah.
Yes. The girdle of safe space. I love it.
Actually, a lot of people that do want a safe space everywhere tend to be the sort of people that would, really need a girdle.
Oh no. Well, girdles aren't necessarily okay. All right, I'll give you the point. Yeah. Sometimes they're not bad. They're not necessarily for that. I'm thinking of like Wonder Woman, but yeah. Well, hello everyone coming in. Great to see you all. But we have a protective veil. There was peace within the veil. There you go. You're right. This is a safe space. Which is fine with me as long as they have puppies and llamas. Sometimes they have llamas in safe spaces. But outside, chaos reigned, for Morgoth's forces had overrun Beleriand. And soon, out of the west came the white ships bearing Theonor and the Noldor. Yeah, so we could probably call this meanwhile. This is what's happening. All happening together. Let's see, is there... Yeah, I love this, the Girdle of Million, a fence of enchantment. Yay. I'd love to have one of them around my house. Wouldn't that be awesome? And like no one could show up.
Yeah. I picture it like a force field.
Yeah, like a force field. Like a magical force field. But the only people allowed through would be the DoorDash.
I would like to have one around my whole damn country.
Yeah.
Get off my lawn.
Damn right.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Well, yeah, a little bit of info dumping here. Any strike your fancy?
No, it's pointed out that the elves suffered a lot of losses because the opponents had better weapons and armor. So armor was a thing for Tolkien as well. Or rather, the importance of armor.
Oh.
Yeah, because of all the fell beast and Middle Earth, so to speak, and they didn't really know where the orcs came from. They had a really cool idea of it, but they didn't really know. So it's like, what are all these weird and creepy things doing here? We better protect ourselves,
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. I was gonna say, Renee, did you have anything else to add?
Not really. I do really I really like sometimes the focus on Thingol and Melian because of them being Luthien's parents. So I really like that. They get mentioned in here, and then they kind of remind you Melian is a Maiar. She's not just a child of Iluvatar. She's a Maiar, and so she can actually bring protection, whereas Feanor just has will. Like Melian actually has power. So it's kind of cool.
Good point. And yes, of course, we know these are people that we know from the Lord of the Rings. I feel like it's member berries is the wrong word because that's not what Tolkien was doing. But I do get a little bit of that feeling where when I'm reading this and I hear the names I know, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's Galadriel. Oh my gosh, it's this one. And of course, we're going to see more about them later. Okay, let's go on to Of the Sun and the Moon. This is also another meanwhile because while they were passing the Hell Coraxiaxion, whatever thing, this was occurring so that when they arrived, the moon was there to greet them. Meanwhile, dun dun dun, the Valar. I gotta just keep saying meanwhile, because meanwhile, this is how it's happening. This is simultaneous. The Valar sat in the Ring of Doom. Damn it, the Ring of Doom, I tell you. Mourning the many evils that have come to pass. As the messengers returned with the answer of Theonor the Jerk and Noldor and Manwë, and the Noldor, Manwë declared that eventually, just as Eru promised, good shall come out of the evil that comes. Yes, see? Yet Mandos responded, saying that it would still remain evil nonetheless, and that Theonor would soon die. The doom. And Manwë commanded Yavanna and Deanna to try to heal the two trees, but they were only able to coax a single flower from Telperion and a single fruit from Laurelin before both trees expired. Their lifeless husks would remain in Valinor as a memorial. Aww. So we got some dead wood. I couldn't help it. And a flower and a fruit. So this fruit
they took the forbidden fruit from the dead wood.
Oh, yes, and the forbidden flower. The fruit and flower were set in special vessels that were given to Varda, who gave them the power to fly in the skies. You see, this is where this is going. They did this in order to spread light back to Middle Earth, which had lain in darkness since the fall of the two lamps. In addition, the race of men would soon come, but the Valar did not know where men would arise, so the light would frustrate the plans of Morgoth and protect men. The Valar were extremely hesitant to directly intervene and attack Morgoth, as they were afraid that Middle-earth might be seriously damaged in another war if they became involved. The driver of the sun vessel would be Arion. I hope I'm saying his name right. A spirit of fire. The driver of the moon vessel would be Tilion, the follower of Orome, who had loved Telperion's light. These would both drive the vessels in circuits around the sky. The fruit of Laurelin became the sun, while the flower of Telperion became the moon. And they received many names in Elvish tongues because you can't have one name for any damn thing in the story. But I gotta admit, I think this is beautiful, Rennie, because you have the fruit and the flower, and then they're like, okay, we'll make the fruit will be the sun, because it's all fruity, I guess, and the moon. I think it's very poetic.
Yeah. Well, and even
That's
though the trees
that's one big damn fruit, though. I mean, that's no apple.
No.
I
think it's very very cool that even though the trees died, the quote unquote fruits of their labor live on by being the sun and the moon. So I think it's cool that Allah made the vessels for them to sit in, and then they had the two Arion and Tilion to drive them around the world. So that's kind of neat to kind of keep Middle Earth lit, not just Arda or not just Valinor. It's for the whole world. So I thought that was pretty cool that they could the fruit and the flower could actually light that much when it took a whole tree to light up an area. So maybe it's the vessels that were built for them that helped to radiate the light better. I'm not sure, but still kind of cool. And the memory of Telperion and Laurelin will live on in those vessels. So.
Yay. Now, because this story sucks the brain cells right out of my head, there was a Greek myth, right, of the dude that drove the sun across the sky, the chariot, wasn't it?
Yeah, I believe so, and I don't remember his name.
Everybody Google.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, like my brain is not wanting to work today. I'm like, need to find words to put together for sentences.
yeah. Well, understand. And as I prepare and try to get this and make it all go linear, that's what I'm saying. Usually by the end of the stream, I'm like, blah, 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 blah. Timon Flip says, you can only be poetic with fruits. Never I've read poetry about vegetables. True. Hyperion says Snornapupus, and Timon says Apollo.
Apollo is Roman.
Yeah. So there you go. Yeah. So Tolkien, once again, and he's borrowing from myth. It's nothing new here, but it's cute, and I like the way that it's connected with the trees.
Yeah.
Let's see. All right, so we got the flower and the moon and the sun. Sorry, the sun and the moon. The sight of the moon gave the Noldor of Fingolfin joy, and they blew their trumpets in greeting. Yeah, you see, it's all coming full circle. So that's what happened at the end of the other chapter. The sight of the sun dismayed Morgoth, who sent forth great clouds to try and darken the sky when it was out. Yet he could not fully accomplish this, and the sun began to wake the creatures under the sleep of Yavanna from their slumber. Full light thus finally returned to Middle Earth after thousands of years of only starlight. Each vessel remained in the sky for a time, starting at the uttermost east and then slowly traversing the sky until reaching Valinor. Certain as the sun rising in the east and then sunsetting into the west. Erin would be fairly constant, but Tilion would be wayward, sometimes coming close to Erin, other times entering Valinor from different ways or remaining long underground beneath Arda on the way back east. Thus, the movements of the moon are inconstant, or it may not appear in the sky altogether on some nights. You see, I love the way this is the mythos, obviously, that the way that they were trying to explain what they were actually seeing, which is where you get a lot of myths like this.
Yeah, like, it's a new moon tonight. Oh, that's because, what's his name?
Yeah.
Tilion isn't bringing it around,
Yeah, Tilion drank too much and
Yeah, taking the night off, just kind of chilling.
Yeah. Having set the sun and moon into motion, the Valar fortified the realm of Aman and what is known as a Nertali. Gosh darn it, I'm just reading the English. The hiding of Valinor. They raised up high mountains around the entire realm, leaving only a gap at the big long word for the sake of the elves who remained in Valinor. They then created a series of enchanted isles and other traps to block any ships trying to sail to Aman. Thus, the realm of Aman was defended and the Noldor shut out, so they could not return. For the rest of the First Age, Valinor was closed to anyone who tried to enter, save one in later days. Yeah, and that's explaining why the dudes couldn't just get on their ships and try to sail over and try to find it. They had things obscuring it.
Yeah.
All that, yeah. And waking up the dudes under the sleep of Yavanna. Yeah. It was a period of the very ancient times marked of darkness and the stillness of nature. And it also struck me that, dang it, the fact that it was thousands of years where it was just the stars that were lighting up the sky. Dang it. That would have
Sounds
sucked.
pretty. Yeah.
Pretty, but
hard
sucked.
to
Imagine
see.
being in darkness that long.
Yeah.
Oh, sounds like Norway during winter.
Oh, yeah. You would know. Yeah. Because you don't see the sun at all, right?
No, we do see the sun, but not for long.
Oh, okay. I thought it was 24. So you're not quite that far north.
No.
But you never see darkness in the summer.
No, in the summer, no.
Okay. So there you go. Yeah.
For we are a bright people with
Yeah.
happy feelings and joy.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm thinking, I guess Iceland, now that I'm thinking about it, is further north than Norway.
No, it isn't.
It isn't? Yes, it is.
No, it's on the same latitude.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Well, they were dark 24/7 though. That's I don't know.
No, northern Norway is further north.
Oh.
Because Norway is like a long country; it goes from north to south.
Oh, okay. So you your country will get it. It just depends on what part you live on.
You have to be all the way north. Yeah.
Okay. But regardless, yeah, for the most part, it's in darkness. Yeah. See, I experienced that a teeny tiny bit when I lived in Ireland because it would get dark very early, like 3:30, 4 o'clock, and it wouldn't get light till about 9 o'clock. But, we'd still see the sun. But, of course, everything being cloudy all the time. Timon Flip says, Apollo is a Greek god of the sun. Hyperion was a titan that father Helios' son, but Apollo rides a chariot dragging the sun across the sky. Okay, you heard it here first. Yeah, I knew there was a chariot involved. Snorta Poopa says, in some myths, was a son of Helios and was allowed to drive the chariot of the sun, but he couldn't control the horses and was veering all over the place until Zeus blasted him. I love it. It's like, you suck.
Oh, dear.
You're going to get us all killed.
How dare you?
The sun crashes into the earth or something. Yeah. Yeah. But as I said, Tolkien's not necessarily completely original, and he was always open to that. He never claimed it was otherwise, that he borrowed from many myths. Kick 44, elves, children of the stars, men, children of the sun. Aww. Yeah. Sort of Poopa says, Greeks had some good drugs and wrote some wonderful tales.
There you go.
More breaking news here at Miss Martin Muses. Who was the one? What the heck are they talking about? The one in the later days. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that dude. But we'll get there later. Arunda deal. It's this is just cool. I just like this. What can I say? I think it's loads of fun. All right. So before we close out the party, Stieg, what do you have to say about all this?
It's just lore.
Yeah.
But it's getting easier to read every time. Rather than the first 3 or 4 chapters are kind of hell.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's like I said early on when we started, talking about this book. It gets easier.
Yeah. Well, and there's more plot.
Yep.
Yeah. Like the Flight of the Noldor, that chapter, that could be like a whole season of TV, or maybe it'd be toward the climax, if of course anyone wanted to actually do it right, but we're not going to get that. All right. Sort of Poopas comes in with the ancient Greek word for bear is Arctos, from which we get that word Arctic because of the Great Bear constellation. You heard it here first. Yeah. Oh, I keep forgetting, Sort of Poopas, you know what it's like to live in darkness 24/7 because your iceberg is way up there in the north, in those northern latitudes. But you get to see the stars as well. Rennie, what the hell? What's going on here?
For me, like I was kind of saying earlier, this is where it starts getting interesting. Not only, because everything can only be simple and total bliss and no controversy for so long before someone has to throw a wrench in it and just, do things for themselves or, create some sort of drama, maybe not necessarily for their own entertainment, but for their, for their own greed and lust, like what Theonor did. And definitely the Silmarils were the fruits of his labors. But even though he hated Melkor or Morgoth, he allowed him to poison his mind against the Valar. And, he hated him after that, but he still allowed him to poison his mind. So he became very angry and resentful of them and decided, you know what, I don't want to live near them at all. They cost me my father. They cost me my jewels. They banished me. They suck. I want out. And so, they tried to give him all kinds of warnings. Like, yeah, screw you guys. Still don't care. I'm still going. So, I do what I want, kind of thing. And they allowed them their free will to do whatever they needed to do. And but at the same time, he also cost himself and his people, potential potential forebodings, so to speak. So I just, it's like, I understand why he rebelled and why he wanted to do it, but then it wound up costing, or it will wind up costing him. And, even Mandos, was like, oh, he'll return to me soon. I know this. It's like, oh, well, we know the Doom of Theonor is coming up soon because Mando's pretty much said it. So it's getting pretty interesting to see, if you didn't ever read the Silmarillion, you would never know that the elves were originally in Valinor. They didn't really have a whole lot of intention to come to Middle Earth, at least for the most part. And this is how they wound up coming. So it's cool that this is how they were brought, but it's like, oh, it's really ugly, So it's pretty interesting how he wrote it.
Yeah. And very true to humanity, human nature, even though it's elves. It's the same idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good points. Yeah.
And I love the way he talks about the creation of things like the sun and the moon and things like that and where they came from. It's really cool. But it takes a lot of imagination and creativity, which I just don't have. So it's kind of cool reading, things like this and oh, that's a really interesting way to create the sun and moon. Okay. I like it.
Yeah, that it's all connected.
Yeah. Pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, most excellent. And yeah, good points all. I think we've pretty much covered it. I just really like the fact that we've been delving so deeply into the lore and the background. So when this crap is hitting the fan, first of all, it's kind of exciting to me because yay action, yay some story, but also on this reread, I think that the betrayal and all the stuff going on in motivations would not have been as rich if he hadn't gotten so detailed and all that stuff. I don't know. I just can't imagine it being written any other way.
Yeah. There's always going to be some sort of struggle or some sort of conflict that you have to overcome,
Well, in any time people think they have peace. How do I describe it? I think you already said it, that there's no such thing as perfection. Actually, most people don't know this because they don't, is the word utopia. And as St. Thomas More, when he wrote Utopia, he was doing this intentionally. Utopia means nowhere, no place. He actually was making kind of a point. There is no such thing as utopia.
Yeah, fair enough.
So so when people think, oh, utopia, he was writing about the perfect place, the perfect government and all that. It's yes, but the Greek, it means nowhere.
Yeah, because it doesn't exist, right?
Yeah. It doesn't exist. Exactly. Yeah. Well, speaking of utopia, or not utopia, because it's no place. So, Steak, did I hear you correctly that you are feeling a little bit better about reading through this now?
Yeah.
Hasn't quite taken away your will to live or anything like that.
No, it never did, but it was just, each character doesn't have to have 3 names.
Or a brutally long description.
Yeah, it's this was this guy's name, but these people call them something else. And I'm why didn't he just point out then that, yeah, you're saying my name wrong?
Yeah. Well, I did get excited when they said, and from here on out, he's going to be called Morgoth. I was like, yes! No more 2 names. Morgoth of the one name. Yeah. Yeah, this is fun. Alrighty, well, let's go ahead and wind down this party. Now, the homework for next week, and I'll try to pin it. I forgot last week to pin it in the chat. So we have Sun and Moon. So we have Of Men, which is a very short chapter, of the Return of the Noldor, which is quite a chapter, and then a Bellerond and its realms. Do we want to do that one? See, how long is that? Do we want to do 2 or do we want to do 3? You know
Let's
what?
do 3.
You want to do 3?
I was going to say, how long is the Return of the Noldor? Because if that's a long, meaty one, it might be.
Yeah. Okay. The
tough to
Return of the
produce.
Noldor. Yeah. So if we're going to do 3, it would be of Men, chapter 12, and that is at pages 116, and the other one's 144. So we're talking about 30 pages of reading. Oh wait, no. Are we? Is it 30 pages? Yes, it is. I think that might be doable. The Return of the Noldor is not a long chapter. It's just a lot of crap happens. And of Men is like 2 pages.
Okay, well, that's not bad. Okay, cool.
So we go with 3. Let's go with 3.
Yeah.
All right, let's do that. Of Men, 1 page or 2 pages. Y'all suck.
Yeah, men aren't interesting people, according to the Silmarillion.
Well, remember, I just keep remembering Elrond in Lord of the Rings. He just, especially in the movie, every time you saw him, he's just like, men
are weak.
Weak failures always ruin everything. Snort of Poopa says, I am Melkor, also known as Morgoth, although there are some who call me Tim. Hey, you're talking to a woman who has about 4 names, so I think over the years. Sort of Poop says, men, well, there goes the neighborhood. Exactly. Guess who's coming to dinner? And the elves are like, fudge. All right. So let's wind down this party. And on this time I'll remember to put the homework into the pinned chat. I shouldn't call it homework. It's pleasant. It's pleasant. It's just an assignment. We'll start with you, Stieg. Stieg, where the hell can we find you?
On this channel on Saturdays, and Maura's channel most Wednesdays.
Oh.
And once a month I do a thing with Lady Greymaster.
Oh,
and
yes.
once a month I do a thing with you and Greymaster for the Fantasy Tavern. And I believe next time we're going to be talking about Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yes, we are. That's actually going to be this Tuesday.
Oh, yeah.
It's okay. I'll keep you honest.
It's not like I had forgotten that or anything.
No, it's okay. It'll be 6 in the morning again. That works better for Gravemaster and Stieg. So we got 6 in the morning. So it will be 6 Central and Norway time sometime in the afternoon, I think. Got to add.
It would be
7.
1 a.m. Sorry, 1 p.m.
1 p.m. because we're gonna do that. So it's better. It's better to do that. I just have to set my alarm because I'm lazy. I've been sleeping in a lot. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you. And let's see, Rennie, where the heck can we find you?
Well, typically here Saturday mornings as well. And Saturday afternoons or evenings, mostly on Mr. Brown Alliance. This week, I believe, I'm not sure if they're still doing anything because of we all kind of have some stuff going on. And then next week, I know we're talking about Predator, so I'm very excited about that. So that's a lot of fun, and that's pretty much what's going on at the moment until further notice.
I have some trivia about that one.
Oh, yeah?
You know the pilot at the beginning?
Yeah.
Who flies the chopper? That's the guy in the Predator suit.
Really? Huh.
Yeah,
So you get to see his face for half a second.
Yeah. And Van Damme was originally playing the Predator, but it looked way different. The original concept. But in some scenes, you can see him do stunt work for Arnold if you freeze the frames.
You're talking about like Jean-Claude Van Damme?
Yep.
That's interesting. I did not know that.
You heard it here first. Well, you said you're doing that tonight, right, Rennie?
Oh, no, next Saturday. So that'll be
Next
the 14th.
Okay.
Today, I think we were going to do something about Mary, which, oh my God, you guys, one of my favorite comedies of all time. Just watched it again last night and laughed so hard with the fiance. And
don't touch the guy's ears.
yeah, and make sure you're careful when you zip your pants up. That's all I'm gonna say.
Oh no.
Franken beans,
That shouldn't even be possible. That's the thing.
You know what though? I've heard horror stories that similar things have happened to real people, and I honestly didn't think that was a thing.
That just doesn't. Well, never mind. We don't need to say thinking about that. We don't. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
so when you watch it next week, because I know that Mr. Brown, he does a lot of slideshows, so maybe you'll be able to see some of those when it is Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Yeah, that would be cool. Yeah, because it's either him or Brian that will do the slides. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, very excited about that. And hey, modern entertainment, not always so great, but if you've got it on physical media and it's something that you really love, they can't take it away from you. So
That's
pretty
right.
cool.
That's right. Oh my gosh, zipper nipping, really? Oh gosh. All right. Well, thank you everyone in the chat. As always, thank you everyone that comes in. You guys are always the fourth guest, or maybe even the first guest on the panel, because we couldn't do it without you and your participation and your continued support. So have a great day, everybody. Have a great day, and be certain if some a-hole named Theonor comes and wants you to rebel and go across and kill all these people, just tell him to feck off.